Hello everybody, uh, welcome to another tutorial of Solidworks, and today we will learn how to design a 20 feet container. Well, I have designed the 20 feet container here, and let's first analyze the design of the container. Well, the length of the container is obviously the 20 feet, and 20 feet is this length, the extrude length of the container, and the length and the width of the container is both 8 inches from the inner side. The inner area of the container is 8 by 8 square feet. So the main body of the container is just like a box, which is having the slots on the upper side of the box as well as on the inner side of the box, and similarly the same thing goes on the back side, on the left side, and on the roof of the container. The second part of the assembly are the door of this 20 feet container, and we will draw these two parts separately, and then we will import them to the assembly module of the Solidworks to have a full-fledged part like we are seeing on our computer screen here. Well, the very first thing I have done after watching any 3D design, I first make a sketch in my mind that how to draw these, or what step I would take to draw these all in the Solidworks, like what command I will use. Either I will have to use the extrude cut, or simply the extrude, or the loft, or something else. So when you're watching this design, you must have to imagine that how you are going to design it, or what command you will use on the Solidworks to design this one. And obviously I will give a tutorial to you people also, but this is a very good exercise if you want to have some extraordinary command on Solidworks. Like you must think about the things around you. Like if you're sitting on a chair, then you should have an idea that if you will have to design it in Solidworks, then how will you are going to design it. So let's move towards the design tutorial, and the very first thing that we will do here is the designing of the main box, or the container like structure of this drawing. Well, I have drawn a box, the main body of the container first, and the design is quite simple if you are not a fresh user of SolidWorks. Well, to move forward, the very first thing we will do for this drawing is to change the unit. Normally the units are in the millimeter by default, and we will move towards the option, and then we will choose the document properties here, and then we will move towards the unit. Well, here we have MKS, that is meter kilogram second, centimeter gram second, millimeter gram second, inch pound second, and the third one is the custom. Well, you may choose an IPS one, that is inch, pound and second, or towards the custom unit, as you are going to extensively use the feet here and inches here. It totally depends upon user choice that how he is going to put the units here. Well, I have chosen the custom units and I have put the length is equal to feet and dual dimension length. I have also chosen the inches where I will have to put the length, and the third one is the angle, and I have given an option of degrees here. Well, after messing up with the units, we will move towards the main drawing of the container. Well, the very first thing is to choose an appropriate plane in which you draw the your design, and I have chosen the front plane. Well, to start from the very simple step here, I have drawn two rectangles, one rectangle and inside it another rectangle, and then I will extrude it. Well, first I have drawn this rectangle with a dimension of 8 by 8, that is this length, or you may choose it as width, or anything. This is equal to 8 feet and this one is also equal to 8 feet, so this is actually a square. Above it I have drawn another square, and this this width is simply is equal to 3 inches, or if we can have this dimension specifically, then this line is having a dimension of 8.61 feet and this side is having a dimension of 8.57 feet, and similarly the same dimension goes on the adjacent sides, as this is a square. Well, to complete the sketch, we will come out of the sketch module of Solidworks by clicking tick sign here, and then we will simply extrude it. How it will look like: here we have drawn a square and inside it another square, and then we extrude it from the feature section of the SolidWorks, and then we have our dimension of 20 feet here. Okay, I will have to. Well, the second thing that we will do after drawing a simple box with the hollow sides, then we will draw these slots, or I should say the beams more specifically, by some mean. Well, to draw any part in the SolidWorks, the method varies from person to person. Every person choose the method which seems easy to his or her. Well, for me to draw these slots, I will let's say first we will have to draw these slots on the roof of the container, and for this purpose I will take a plane having some appropriate length from the right side of the container. This plane, let's see how I have chosen it. This one, I have chosen the face one, and I choose an offset distance of 0.66 feet for this plane. and here we go. Now we have this plane, and then we will sketch the cross section of this slot here, as you can see on your computer screen. This one, we have sketched the cross section of the slot. The length of the lower side is equal to 0.323 feet, and this line is having a length of 0.20 with an angle of 225. Similarly, this side is having almost the same length with an angle of 125, and the upper side is having a length of 0.57 feet. You know, this thing is just drawn roughly to have an appropriate slot, as you can see on the roof of our real container. So what I have done so far, I have simply drawn a box. I have taken a plane, then I have draw the cross section of the slot on the roof of the container, and then I simply have an extrude cut of that sketch of the slot up to 7.6 feet, and here we end up with a slot on the roof of the container. And the next thing that we're going to do is to have a linear pattern of this one along this line. How I have done it, let's say we are here, we are end up with a slot on the roof of the container, and then we will go toward the linear pattern here, and we will select this extrude cut, and then we will have a screen like this. We have chosen the feature to pattern is extrude cut 2, that is this extrude cut, and we have to give the distance between these patterns that I have given here around 1 feet, and I have set the pattern to repeat is equal to 19. These slots are 19, which are repeated after every 1 feet. So here we end up the slots on the roof of the container, this one. Now this similar thing we will do for the sides, back side, and the adjacent side of the container. Similarly, I will take another plane with an appropriate length from the base of the container here. I have chosen the face 1 as the base and an offset distance of 0.48 like for the previously chosen plane. And here we end up with a plane from the base of the container. Now similarly, I will draw the pattern of the pattern of the slot here to have the beam like arrangement on the side of the containers. On this plane I have simply draw the cross section equal to 0.26 This one is 0.20, this one is again 0.26 with an angle of 45 degrees. And the similar thing I have done here on the other side of the container. I have simply draw the cross section of the slot here, and then we will move out from the sketch section of the SolidWorks, and then I will choose the feature from this section. Then I will go toward the extrude cut, and then we will simply have then extrude cut of the pattern I have drawn in this sketch section. This one here, we end up with a simple extrude cut here and here on the other side of the container. Again we will simply repeat the structure, choosing the linear pattern. Here we go, this one. The linear pattern is again having the same specification, that is the 1 feet adjacent length between these pattern, and the pattern numbers to remove to repeat are 19, and the feature to pattern is extrude cut 3 that we have just have on the sides of the container. Now what I have done so far, I have simply draw a box on the front and the back side. Then to draw doors, I have simply taken a plane and I just draw the cross section of this slot, and I have make an extrude cut here. Then I have repeated this extrude cut 19 times with the adjacent length in between is 1 feet. Similarly, I have drawn these slots on the sides of the container. And now we will move towards the next step, that is this one. As we know that the back side of the container was yet hollow, we will simply draw a box on the back side of the container. The back side is this one. Well, we have simply drawn the box, this, and we will move out from the sketch section. Then we will move towards the feature, and we will have to extrude this one to close the rear side of the container. Then we will simply make an extrude cut similar to the other we have done for the other side and the container, to have a slot. We will use the similar plane in which we have draw the section of this slot sides. This one, we have drawn the section of inward as well as the outward slot. This, we will just move a sketch section, and then we will simply have an extrude cut like this one. Here we are. Here we go. So we have drawn the cross section of the slots on the rear side of the container, and we just choose the extrude cut to have the slots or beams on the rear side of the container, and then we will repeat the pattern in the similar way in which we have repeated it on the sides and the roof of the container. So we are almost end up with the box. I guess I should repeat all the step again. I have simply drawn a box, then I have extruded it. To draw these slots or the beams, I have chosen some planes. I have drawn the cross section of the beam. I have chosen the extrude cut. I have the pattern of this beam or slot, and then I repeated the pattern linearly. Similarly, I have done the same things on the sides and the roof and the back side of the container, and here we are with a box like structure having the beams or the slots on the sides, rear, roof of the structure. Well, the last thing is, as we know that we have to attach the doors to this box, then we must have to attach some mechanism by which we will assemble these doors to it. So this step to have the mechanism to attach these doors. Well, I will simply choose this surface in which I will draw a box, a rectangle here. I simply choose the line from the sketch section. I will draw these lines on the surface, choosing an appropriate length. I guess I should give you the dimension as well. That is, here we go. This is the length that is 0.42 feet, and the width is 0.28 feet, and we have drawn a rectangle here. After sketching it, just move out from the sketch section, and we will simply extrude this one to have a hinge like pattern on the side. Here we are. Now we will simply here we go. Well, what I have done here, I have simply draw a hinge here, a rectangular hinge here, and the second step I will draw a circle on the surface of this hinge, and I will simply extrude it to the base. Now we will utilize this rod one structure to attach the door with this container. Well, I have done the procedure for one side, and for the second side I will simply draw a linear pattern for these hinge and the rod, and the second linear pattern here is to repeat the hinge on the downside of this container. Well, to have just a review of what I have done to draw this box is I have simply started from a square. I have extruded it to draw the slots or the beams. I have chosen an appropriate plane. I have drawn the cross section. Then I have chosen the feature of extrude cut to have an appearance of beams on the sides, on the roof and the rear side and the sides of the container. The next step I have done to attach some mechanism by which I would attach the doors to this container, and for this purpose I have draws these hinges and a rod which we will use for the assembly of the doors in future. And here we are completed with this part. Well, the next step, we will draw the door of the container. This one. Well, the 3D modeling of door is quite easy here. Just move towards the front plane. This is the front view of the door. As you can see that this is similar to a rectangle, and the process is quite simple. I just draw a rectangle and extrude it to have the basic cross section of the door. The second step is I have chosen another plane, taking this side as base, and the offset distance from this side is 0.20 feet. I have chosen this plane to draw these slots as we have done it on the box or the body of the container. Well, I have chosen this plane and then I have sketched the cross section of this slot, that is this one. Well, the dimension of this floor line is 0.22 feet. This one is at an angle of 38 degrees and with the length of 0.21 feet. Similar thing goes here, and we will complete it by drawing a line here, and we will have a close geometry. Now we can move towards the feature section of Solidworks, and then we will use the extrude cut to have this slot. Well, the similar slot can be seen on the different areas of this door, like this one, this one, this one and this one. One method is to draw all these slots one by one and to have a simple extrude cut. Well, another method is to linearly draw the pattern of this extrude cut. Well, I have chosen the second one. I have repeated the pattern of this extrude cut here, here, here and here. Well, the next step is I have draw these rods by which the next step is I guess I should explain it from here. I have simply chosen in plane, taking the base as the upper side of the door, giving an appropriate offset length, and I have sketched this pattern with the dimension of 0.2 feet. This one, and this one. This is quite simple. I have extruded it, and in the next step I have repeated this pattern here, 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 here and here, here and here. The next step I have done is to attach these hinges by which we will attach these door to the main body of the container. So I have draw simply a rectangle, choosing this surface as the sketch plane, this one, and I have extruded this surface. The next thing I have done is to give an extrude cut, this one. I have chosen this surface, drawn a circle here. Well, the one thing you will make sure here, the dimension of this circle should be similar to the dimension of the rod we have attached to the main body of the container. I should share the dimension of this one. Well, the dimension of this circle is 0.03 feet. This is the radius of the circle. We have set is equal to 0.3 feet as the radius of the rod that we have attached with the main body of the container is also equal to the 3 feet. And then in the last step I have repeated the pattern here, the similar pattern, the similar dimensions and the similar a hole, or you can say a slot, to attach this door to the main body of the container. Well, we have drawn so far the main body of the container and the door of the container. Then we will move toward the assembly section by going here, make assembly from parts, and here we will end up. You will move towards the insert component. You will insert the main body of the container and these door of the container. The one thing that I should mention here, that I have use the similar door for the both sides, I have simply inverted one door to use it on another side. We will insert the main, I should explain it from here, I guess. No. Well, I have inserted the main body of the container here. I should make this one as the transparent. Well, I have inserted the main body of the container, then this door, and then I have chosen the mate feature from the assembly module of the Solidworks, and I have made this rod with the internal slot that is attached with the door. This rod is having a interference fit with the internal slot in this hole that is attached with the door, and the similar thing is done for another door, and here we will end up with the final 3D model of the container. One thing that you will notice here, that the assembly will not be a complete assembly, a fully defined assembly, as the parts are movable, the door are movable. You may open them or you may close them, so assembly is not yet fully defined, but the purpose is completed, as the door should be movable. So this is all about the drawing or the 3D model of a 20 feet container. I hope you have liked it, or you have learned some new things from